Good evening. Tonight we check in with the number one team in the PBA, the Magnolia Hotshots, and the latest movements in the PVL. Hello, I'm Paulo Del Rosario.
And I'm Boom Gonzalez. Let's start things off by welcoming our first guest tonight, the man behind the highly successful East Asia Super League, Chief Executive Officer Henry Cairns. Good evening, sir, and welcome to the studio.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right, so let's start things off first with a little congratulations because the EASL has been working so well the past few weeks. We love watching the games. We love seeing the Philippines struggle a bit. They're getting better. They're getting there. But how would you say the league has been running so far this season?
I think it's exceeded all of our expectations. Obviously, this is the first time in Asia you have a fully integrated league. So there was a learning process at first, but all of our partner leagues, all of our partner teams have really gotten engaged, really gotten involved, and stepped up the levels. And we've seen that on social engagement, we've seen that on broadcast numbers, we've seen that on attendance numbers, and so all of this really almost halfway through the season now, a little bit past halfway through the season, we're seeing those deliverables, and we're really proud of that.
It's much better than what you and I experienced back in the pandemic, where things we were just trying to churn out content, even when games were not going on. But now, as we enter the new year, 2024, okay, what are on top of your list in terms of the EASL?
I think for us, it's really expanding our content and expanding our reach. I mean, we're really focusing on the Asian heroes and the Asian players and trying to get them not just heroes within the PBA or within the Philippines, but making their profile known across Asia, whether that's in Greater China, whether that's in Japan and Korea. And we're really focusing on that going into the Final Four and the end of this season, but really in the off-season next year on how we can really drive that and really create a lot of value, not for our partner leagues, but also for the teams and players that participate.
Well, you talk about the Asian heroes, and you also mentioned the partner leagues. I just want to get a bit of an insight about how the partnership works out with all of the leagues, because all of these players coming in and playing this type of competition a bit different from what they're used to.
Absolutely.
Then I can only imagine the type of negotiations and the talks that have to be done between yourself and all of the teams, players, and organizations involved.
We're a very transparent and neutral platform, and I think that's why we got this done. All the leagues can see into us, and they can all see that we're being as neutral as possible in how all of this is delivered. The refs are all FIBA refs. They're allocated from countries that are not playing. The delivery of the commentator, the delivery of all the product is all very third party. So I think from that perspective, we've done a really good job. But also, going back to sort of the purpose, I mean, really uniting Asia around basketball. And as we expand going forward, all of these leagues that we're negotiating with are all in the same terms in terms of we want these teams to do well. We want to create value for them. We want to create value for the PBA, for the B League, for the KBL, and elevate that going forward. So how do we make the PBA relevant or more relevant in markets outside of the Philippines? That's one of our objectives. And I think getting those deliverables this year, but also going into next year, is really how we're starting those conversations with some of the leagues coming on board.
All right, let's talk about that partnership, the PBA and the EASL, and how is it going so far with you, and what are the other goals other than what you just mentioned with this specific partnership, the PBA and the EASL?
I think for us, we all know that the Philippines is really the hub of basketball in Asia from a cultural perspective and from just a fan engagement perspective. And the PBA is the oldest league, second oldest league in the world, but really the oldest league in the region and the most experienced. So we've had a lot of learning from them. But really how we can, I think, elevate that going into the next year of getting them onto different platforms for those broadcasts in different Asian markets, for example, but allowing players like Scotty Thompson and Ginebra to say, hey, look, I got a profile in all these other markets. And so that's a big part of sort of our core objectives. With the PBA, our relationship's extremely strong. We've been working very closely on delivering new objectives that I think we'll all know about soon next season as well. But really, we're really happy with it. We're really proud that we've delivered for what we've asked, and they have as well.
You with the format that you have, home and away, and then you pick a PBA team and you bring them overseas. The Filipino fans will always come out and support.
It's a home game everywhere.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you see all of that. Are you surprised with that type of support that the Philippine teams bring out wherever they go?
To be honest, I'm not. I've been to Gilas games around Asia. I've been to Gilas games in Taipei and Tokyo, and you know the fans there are all Filipinos. So I was expecting some of the same, but really, I think this is different. You have a lot of players that aren't national team players. It's their first time, you know, playing overseas, playing other players. It's getting that experience, but also experiencing that sort of we're playing in front of our, you know, our home fans really in these countries around Asia, and I think that's really special.
It's also thrown a little bit of a curveball to the PBA teams. Like we were just talking to the Meralco Bolts last night here on the show, and you know how different now it is that they have to prepare both for the PBA and the competition in the EASL. Completely different ways of doing things, and now they have to balance everything out. And speaking of which, we're gearing up for a very exciting one tonight between the Kings and the Bolts, and a lot of talk around, of course, Jeremy Lin. These are things that, you know, leagues can really attach themselves to, personalities like these, matchups like these. What can you tell us about tonight, and what are you most excited about?
Well, I mean, it hits the point on the head. You know, this is Asia's, perhaps Asia's biggest player ever to date in Asia's best basketball city in Asia. You don't get that chance very often, and you don't get the chance for Filipino fans to experience that. So we're really happy with, you know, the ticket sales number. It's going to be a packed gym. We're really happy with sort of the entertainment that's going to be delivered there. But really, the ball on the court's going to speak for itself. Our point differentials for these games has been super close. You saw the Morocco Bolts lost by 1 point. We saw them in Macau win by 1 point. And so come from behind, you know, with Newsom hitting that 3 and 1. So I think, you know, our expectations really coming into this are that we're going to see a very good game, and you're going to see the best of, you know, the champion team of Taipei playing best team in the Philippines, and you know, you can expect that it's going to be a really great game.
And remember, Paul, they were saying last night, Meralco was saying that it means so much to them that they want to win this one and be that first Philippine team that really make a mark in the EASL.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, for some people, it's funny because you add a new competition to the calendar. Some teams, some players might not take it as seriously as others. But then, what we've seen so far is that every single team is coming out 100% wanting to go at each other from the very jump.
You know, you look at the numbers. Numbers speak for themselves. If you have a Filipino team playing a Japanese team, you got the viewership from those two countries and all the other countries watching. So when a player thinks about, you know, my exposure, my sort of personal brand, this is a platform that allows them to get 10x the exposure they do than maybe playing in a domestic league or playing, you know, in other leagues. So they take the opportunity super serious. There's obviously a lot of money on the table as well for them to benefit from that. But I think the overriding factor is that they're playing with a lot of pride. I mean, this is not just representing Morocco. This is not just representing the PBA. It's representing, you know, the country as well in some respects. So I think they take it very seriously and they play their hearts out.
All right, we're going to ask you to wear your analyst hat for the game later on, because I only want to do this because if Morocco wins tonight, the whole thing is wide open.
Wide open, yeah.
It's wide open.
So tell us what are we looking at between the matchup?
I've gone into games and I've thought in my brain what I think is going to happen, and it's been the total opposite. So I think it really depends what happens with Morocco in the third and fourth quarter. Okay. They've had a super demanding schedule, back-to-back games.
Correct.
They're flying on Saturday, as you mentioned, to Iloilo for an out-of-town game. If they show up in the third and fourth quarter coming out of that locker room and saying, we're going to put the gas on, they have a good chance to pull this out. The Taipei team is super disciplined. They shoot the perimeter. We all know they like throwing it down and popping it out. And so if they can cover that on D as well in the third and fourth, it's Morocco's to win.
Yeah, and Meralco pretty much had them in their corner the last time they met, right? Except for that fourth quarter where the Kings just exploded.
Absolutely. Henry, really appreciate you coming over and talking a bit about the ESL. But of course, we're going to leave you here by hyping up what we have for tonight. Because on that note, here's a sneak peek at what fans can expect from the explosive matchup happening live at 7 p.m. tonight at the Phil Sports Arena.
All right, so Dama. Yo, 30 in the clip, drop 100 on his hip. All I see is blue faces, you would thought I was a... I don't say a word, got my fingers to my lip. Yeah, and I don't never trip, all I do is take trips. I just knew I was the man ever since I was a jit. Shorty got them double D's, I'm trying to see it. Make a million while I'm young and still RP Nip. Came up with a plan and we sticking to the script. Break that thing down, double back and make a flip. Can't show the whole thing, y'all can only get a snip. You ain't gotta wait a...
Bolts against the Kings tonight. Henry, really appreciate you
Thank you,
coming
guys.
over. Thank you very much for coming over and
Enjoy
really
the
sharing
game
everything.
tonight.
See you at the game, hopefully.
See you there. All right, and after the break, we'll move over to the PBA as we talk about the incredible run of the Magnolia Hotshots. Stay tuned. You're watching The Game. Welcome back to The Game. The Magnolia Hotshots are at the top of the Governor's Cup standings, and to no one's surprise, after quite a great showing in the PBA on tour, joining us to talk about the success of the Hotshots, and himself too, of course, is Magnolia big man James Laput. Welcome back, James. I know you've been here a couple of times for different reasons, for different purposes, but the last time we were actually talking about the PBA on tour was,
Right.
you know, that ride that you guys were in, your personal ride too, and then I remember you were telling us that your wish, obviously, and the goal was to continue on and
Yep.
make it happen
Yep.
in the actual PBA games. It's happening right now. Give us your thoughts, your initial thoughts on this one.
I mean, first off, thanks for having me on the show,
course.
guys. And yeah, I'm just excited to show the league and my coach, who's been giving me this leash to perform like the opportunity to perform like this. I'm really excited to keep showing what I have for not just my team, but the entire league and the fans. I feel like myself as a player, I have a lot more to grow and build towards. But as of now, I think I'm playing my role in the way which my team needs, which is impacting us in a winning way. And hopefully it can just keep going and getting better. So yeah.
Since March, Magnolia has only lost one game. Just one game. You went through the entire on-tour undefeated. You only lost once in an out-of-town game. So technically, they're still undefeated in Metro Manila.
Yeah,
All right,
that's
technically
right,
speaking.
right.
Yeah.
But how would you define or how would you characterize the past since March to December of Magnolia?
I feel like it's the timing of all of us as a collective unit is finally coming together. For the longest time, we've had the same crew since our championship win in 2018. We still have that collective. We still have Rafi.
Yeah.
You know, and he's still rotation minutes player. You know, he's still doing his thing. But the timing of things is with that time-tested crew, we have guys like myself, Jared Kahamisi, Joseph Ariobu, Abu Trader, guys like them, Aris Janicio.
Yeah.
We're finally getting that timing to mesh with that time-tested veteran crew. So I feel like we have that right mix of veteran and young going into this conference. And as you said, starting in March.
Yeah.
So since then, I feel like we've been trending in a good direction.
Yeah.
Not saying we've been trending all the way up.
Yeah,
There-
yeah.
There have been slumps
Correct.
and
Yeah.
bad games, but for the most part, we are trending
Positively.
positively
Yeah.
in the direction that I feel that Coach Cheeto foresaw, and is finally coming into fruition.
Yeah.
All right, let's put it in numbers. So for those watching, 11-0 during the on-tour record. You did say they were undefeated, 9-1.
Yeah.
The record by Magnolia right now, averaging almost 60 rebounds, more than 25 assists, more than 11 or close to 11 steals a game, just in numbers.
The best guards in the league.
Right?
The best guards in the
And
league.
then just to put into numbers, also James's numbers, more than 8 points a game, 5 rebounds, and a little over 1 assist in this conference. Okay, now you did tell me that's just you guys. This conference, and you are at the point where everybody also is ramping up. They're going to get better. They've got their eyes on you. You got your targets on your back. Tell me how that feels, knowing that your record is at 9-1.
I feel that, and as a team, we all feel that we can't be complacent with where we are right now. We can't be blinded by the fact that, oh, we're 9-1, because as a unit, as a team, as a Magnolia family, we do feel that we're not there yet.
Yeah.
And that we have so much to work on. So with the playoffs coming, yeah, like you said, other teams are ramping it up. Like Junemar's coming back, Ginebra's still Ginebra. Everyone's just going upwards, and I feel like it's going to be a whole new test, a different beast. But if we can put it together, us at Magnolia, and have that playoff mentality early, as soon as this Morocco game, possibly.
Right. That's right.
I
It's a
feel
big
like
game,
that'll
yeah.
give us a good edge going into the playoffs and going for gold.
I want to bring up something that we spoke about in private, which is the fact that Magnolia, towards the end of last year, probably did not play their best basketball. Only because the loss came in there.
Yes.
And right now, we're looking at some of your percentages. And for a team that has Paul Lee, Aris Dionisio, such great shooters, you're averaging, as a team, 18.8% from beyond the arc. What would happen, or what would it take for Magnolia to finally click in shooting-wise? Because we know the talent is there.
Yes,
We
yes.
know that in any given day, if you give Paul Lee just the right amount of stuff, he's not gonna miss, and that percentage is gonna shoot right up.
You're telling me they're averaging 18.1 at 9-1 record?
Yep. Why?
Answer the question,
How?
James.
Okay, well, probably how is, well, for one, our defense
Yes.
is always our bread and butter, and we always lean on that. But offensively, 18% from three, I feel that we are addressing it right now. Actually, earlier,
Yeah.
we're addressing it.
Were you shooting threes?
No, not yet. Maybe 2 years' time. No, but as a team, I feel that we need to address our being able to make plays off the ball and make the right counters or reads, because now we're coming into the playoffs, and like you said, our percentages has gone down. Not necessarily because of the talent of our guards, because like you said, I agree. Our guards are so talented. Our backcourt is so talented. But maybe because teams are adjusting. They're cutting off certain looks that we were having earlier in the season or during the on tour. So now that that's happened, our adjustment for that, I feel, is making better plays off the ball, maybe having big men more involved in passing or creation situations, and
Triggers.
spacing in general.
Okay.
I feel that spacing is a huge part of our game that's needed for our offense, which once we can fix that, make the right counters and reads of that, it'll open up the game so much.
All right, that's from a team standpoint. Let's talk about a personal standpoint,
Yeah.
and I'm sure you have every right to nitpick yourself. So
Yes,
if
yes.
you were to nitpick yourself going into the playoffs, what are you working on? What do you want to improve on?
Being more aggressive in general as a player, as myself. There are times I've spoken about it with certain teammates, and there are times where I can be more aggressive offensively, defensively, and going for the rebound. There are times that I may rely too much on drop passes to find mine, when really there are many opportunities for me to fake handoff and drive. Kind of
Initiate
like
more?
how initiate more.
Yeah.
Because also that will give a better look for our team.
Yeah.
In a sense that, because I think everyone that's watching, if a team or coaches are watching or other personnel, they kind of already scouted how we are.
Yeah,
And
we all know how you play.
we all know how we play, how I play, and
And you, same for them.
same
right?
for them.
That's just how it is.
So it's like we all know that the way we play, the guards are very, very ball dominant. What happens when a big man ends up penetrating and kicking out for a
Yeah,
three-pointer?
yeah. I
see what you're saying.
Whoa, that's okay.
Yeah, it
We didn't
changes
see this
everything.
one happening.
James,
So-
right before we let you go here, because right now that one loss in the end, towards the end of the year, it feels like it could be important for this team because
Yes,
you
yes.
already lost.
Yes.
How important was the way you ended 2023, which is obviously not at the highest that you guys wanted, in your quest to get a championship here in 2024?
Well, for one, it solidified our twice to beat advantage, which was huge for us. But on a momentum standpoint, it is what we needed going into this new year. To start it off, to end it on a good note,
Yeah.
and also to start it on a good note. At least the coaches were, okay, we got to win. We're still at the top, and we're twice the beat advantage locked in.
Yeah.
So now we just got to focus on the game ahead, which is Morocco. And I feel like you said, that one loss does sting though, because now we'll go up against Morocco, and we got to beat them.
Yeah.
We have to beat them.
Right.
Yeah, because they're up there as well. in the
They're right
standings.
near us.
Absolutely.
We're playing tonight. Maybe that will work in your favor.
Gonna watch
so.
them. Gonna watch them.
James, really appreciate you coming over. Good luck
As
for the rest
always.
of the season.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Right, so we'll talk PVL shakeups after the break. Stay tuned. You're watching The Game. Welcome back to the game. Now we've got some shakeups over at the PVL ahead of the 2024 season. Now bringing forth some exciting matchups and tandems. So we're gonna go through a few of them here.
Shakeups is the
Grabe
word.
yung shakeups
Ay,
eh.
naasahan naman natin to.
Oo.
With everything that happened to F2, we knew that this was going to happen.
And speaking of,
The first two.
yeah, Don Macandili, Katindig, and of course Jovelyn Fernandez with Signal HD Spikers. My favorite term to use is the start of the domino, where it feels like this is just the start of the massive moves that we're going to have. Don, probably one of the earlier ones, and of course going to be a game changer for Signal HD.
Yeah, and defense, offense.
Yeah.
You're gonna love this if you're a Signal fan, because obviously we already would know what Dawn will bring to the table. We've already talked about it in a previous show. What she's going to contribute on defense, which will translate to their offense. Now with Vanny Gambler getting better, and they need more firepower.
Yeah.
'Cause Rad, we don't know what's going to happen. Of course, she's probably going to stay out. So
Yeah.
they're going to need Jovelyn Fernandez, one of the better outside spikers from the UAAP.
Well, Signal HD has been making moves, but they are by far not the only team.
Oh, yeah.
Let's talk about Cherry now, because Cherry have a couple of, again, former F2 players coming in, very familiar faces in terms of veteran leadership, in terms of winning ability, and it feels like this is going to be a very interesting fit.
I
with
love
Cherry
this
Team.
one because Abby Maraño, you know, Cherry has a leader in Ea Laure,
Yes,
but they don't have an experienced leader.
that is true.
And this is what Abby brings to the table. National team. We already know the
Yeah.
list, right? So she's going to be big in tandem with Ea. And then you have Aragalang, who's playing her best, who played her best conference the last time out.
Yeah.
So you know that she's healthy. She got a little bigger. She got a little stronger. I think we're going to see a different Aragalang. And it's going to complement Ea Laure, Pongay, of course, Pauline, and Mylene Paat,
Yeah.
who, by the way, is
Yeah,
best
very
friends.
happy.
Oh, so this is going to be exciting for
Yeah,
Cherry.
we saw a photo already of their first session together online, so
Right.
cannot wait to see what they can do. Already getting to work. Now let's move on here to the Petrogas Angels, because Arce now
Yeah.
making a move as well.
Right. We talked about this in a previous show that we think that Petrogas is going for young guns.
Yeah.
They need
Yeah.
youth in their with their team, and Ethan Arce, who's played with Gerflor, played of course with UP. Now a professional. Petrogas will add on to this as they already I believe lose Gretchen Soltones.
Yes,
So
yes, yeah.
This is going to be a very important component. for
Of course, we'll talk about Gretchen in a while,
Yes.
because next led is the next team we're going to talk about.
Woo-wee!
Getting Ivy Laxina. And with Ivy Laxina, you know, a lot of debate was made about her position when she was at F2. I'm going to be really interested to see how next led, one of the teams that improved the most
Yeah.
throughout the last conference,
Right.
will utilize the Ivy.
I mean, I don't even want to call it parang it's something for debate. It just shows how of a chameleon she is.
Yeah.
Diba? She can play these positions, and with Joanna Maraginot coming back with her game, Laika Ebon, they look like they're playing very well together, the team. This is additional firepower. Kahit saan mo ilagay, pwede yan.
Let's
Si
talk
Ivy.
about firepower. We have to now talk about Akari, because you mentioned
Yeah.
Gretchen Soltones, and Gretchen Soltones making the move here adds
Yes.
veteran presence, adds
Yes.
firepower to
Yes.
already stack Akari team.
Okay, so Akari needs support for Faith and Din
Yeah,
Din.
yeah.
And they need somebody, in my opinion, who's so good at out-of-system plays.
Yes.
Gretzel Sotones, who's also playing very healthy in the last conference. This is going to be big. This is going to be exciting. In a very young team, I can't wait to see her.
My favorite part about all of this is that simula pa lang to.
Hindi pa!
We're not done yet.
Madami
There's so
pa!
many more moves in the
Madami pa.
PBL, and I cannot wait to talk about them with you guys.
And you can catch all of those news and, of course, our show and the games live and on demand on the Pilipinas Live app. My name is Boom Gonzalez. Thank you for joining us tonight.
And I'm Paulo De Rosario. This has been The Game.